So my name is Simon Le Grice, and I am the VP of Marketing for Secret Cinema. Secret Cinema is the pioneer of immersive events. So we take a popular film or piece of entertainment and transform it into immersive theatre. So taking a step into the world of your favourite film, living it, breathing it, smelling it, everything, every sense, in a secret world. Business is about 15 years old now, and has kind of transformed in that time from being a underground, very secretive business where you didn't know the film or the location into one of London and hopefully the world's premier entertainment brands. I learnt to tap dance when I was 18 for a production of Singing in the Rain at high school. It remains one of my favourite films because of that, but I have not kept up that tap dancing after leaving. So I became CMO when I was at Dog Buddy. I joined the business as the marketing director. And after a year or so, as the team grew and as the business grew, promoted into the CMO role, which then allowed me to go build a team of around 25 people around me. It was the fusion of everything I'd done in my career up to that point. So it was the right step for me, and a deliberate, purposeful choice to go take that role. I was only a year into my time at what was Wahanda, that then became Treatwell, and had just kicked off that rebrand. So I really wanted to stay and deliver it, but the opportunity to go fuse, performance and growth and brand and everything all into one role, which I couldn't resist. And it was dogs as well. So who wouldn't want to go work in a dog sitting business? That led to growing into the CMO role as the team grew around me and the business expanded. I actually don't think there is such a thing as a typical day if you're working in a startup. It is a blend of managing the team and ensuring that I can be there to challenge and support them as needed. I liken the role, and this happens every day, to being a firefighter and an architect. Especially again in that startup scale-up space, there are things right in front of you that you need to put that fire out immediately. But if you don't think about the future and what you're building, you have no purpose for putting the fire out. So it is really quite an interesting fusion between the today and the tomorrow. That's probably quite typical for me, thinking, well, where are we going for 5 years' time? But also that thing next needs to get out the door yesterday. On my honeymoon, halfway up a volcano on a conference call during the due diligence of the acquisition of Dog Buddy by Rover. I have a very, very understanding husband who didn't mind me sitting in the back of a minibus at 2 a.m. local time in Hawaii on a call with Seattle and London. But it was critical to me to be on that call because it was discussion around the shape and the future of the marketing team. So I wanted to make sure my voice was heard in that. For me, an interesting story is probably being in a pet business for almost 5 years, then moving to another pet business for a year and a half or so, and leaving that. Everybody that I was speaking to, every recruiter, every headhunter was only approaching me with pet roles. And I had tracking collars, food, vets, medication, everything all within the pet space, and made the purposeful decision not to stay there, because whilst I absolutely love animals, I love dogs, I didn't want to be the pet guy. I wanted to diversify. I wanted to expand outside of the sector. But I get to kind of keep myself connected to the space by being a board advisor for a small business that's selling beta. So it's kind of still getting my puppy fix by doing that. You have to go in open-minded as you switch. because you are surrounded often by people who know the sector well enough. That doesn't necessarily mean they have all the answers, but to be able to go in and be a sponge for those first few days, weeks, months, depending on the scale. That said, I think it's also critical that you bring with you your experiences from other sectors and can bring that in a way that challenges the preconception. We're purposely trying to build across a range from e-com, subscription and everything, so that fused together, we hope that we have a better 360 view on solving a problem. And I think that for me is the things you go into a new business is absorbing everything the business has, but also challenging it from your own background. I think for me, I actively look for different business models as the challenge to go into somewhere new, not just the sector. So you could stay within pets, but taking e-commerce or marketplace or subscription, the challenge is different. The marketing is different for each of those, but the audience may remain the same. So I think you can still stay within an area that you enjoy, but challenge yourself by changing the mechanic that you have to apply your model to. The way around it is by demonstrating, I think, two things. One, that it is not just about the money at the end of the day. Of course, that's important. Pays the bills, gives you security, and you need that. But there's more than just the salary at the end of the day. There's other ways of remunerating, and we explored things around that. I still do. I think the other part is demonstrating to a candidate the opportunity to join a team who want to grow, who want to develop. If you can demonstrate that that is the value you give back on top of their paycheck, you'll win over the right people. And folks do now appreciate the companies and leaders within companies have value to give back, beyond what sits in the bank account at the end of the month. My mantra is generally to hire smart people, get out of the way. As we build a team, it's not my job to tell someone how to do their job. It's my job to challenge them and support them. And I think to do that, you have to listen. You have to listen to what they need. You have to listen to what they have to say. You have to listen to what's going on around you. Resilience is a huge thing, especially in times that we're going through now. Being able to get knocked down and pick yourself back up again without necessarily relying on others to do that for you. It takes a lot sometimes, especially in a startup or scale up. I want to say a sense of humor, a sense of fun is essential. Being in the role, you are often surrounded by dozens of people who think they can do your job. Everyone's a marketer. There are great ideas out there that if you can take on board and have the lack of ego to think that you know everything, and actually to take on something from someone else, I think is powerful. So that sense of fun and humor allows you to just ease into that. I think on a hard skills level, I guess you would probably fail nowadays if you didn't have the ability to speak to your creative partners in a way that could get the best out of them, at the same time flipping maybe in minutes between them into a spreadsheet. And so I think that numeracy and analytical capability partnered with the EQ and the vision, you have to fuse those nowadays. You can't, I don't know how successful you'll be if you were one or the other. I think the world needs more unicorns in that regard. Someone that can stretch from spreadsheet to strategy all in one go. I think be purposeful about the roles that you're taking. If you have the view to go be a CMO, think, how do you bolster the growth side of your CV? How do you bolster the creative side, the brand side, the strategy side, all the different elements that make up a great CMO? Like, how do you go through your career to collect all of those elements? And I think for me, that was a really powerful realization, that it wasn't coasting from role to role, but I could actually be in a role, and determine what I wanted out of it, which then built that profile that led me to a job where I could do it all and be kind of captain of that ship. And so, yeah, I think my advice would be to purposefully build your CV and profile based on gaps that you're able to identify. If your goal is to be in the CMO position.